Okay, so we've got this whole thing weeded. You can see we've reversed weeded it. And so make sure we get it clean. So here's the application tape. These are a few sizes. You can have more sizes than that even. And then so these are the things that I need to move forward to the next step. I like these blue paper towels, and then I actually have that's just a little bit of like water mixed with, I think it's a little bit of alcohol or something. So you can use whatever, just some distilled water and some alcohol. Scissors, scraper, and a razor. I'm gonna hand this off to my handy assistant again and show you how I go about this. So the first thing I do is pick which size is going to work best for this. In this case, I think this size is going to work great. So then I will peel out what looks to be enough to cover the whole graphic. Then I will take my scissors. I cut right to I leave just a little bit there, also it doesn't roll up on itself. That's a little trick that I learned. I grab it and just pop that last little bit off. And I just the graphic, make sure that everything's going to be covered. And I grab, and this is just one of these basic squeegees that you can get. You can get this from Sign Warehouse or US Cutter, I think sells them, but it makes it just a little bit nicer in your hand for when you're scraping. Always, 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 anytime you're doing vinyl, anything, you always start in the middle and work your way out from the middle. So I always kind of go like that, work my way out. Not too much pressure to begin with. I start with kind of mild pressure, just enough to get the bubbles out and make it stick down. And then one of the key portions of this process is to make sure that you have plenty of room around your registration mark. So I'll use my squeegee. I'll put it there, and that allows me to kind of rip that away. Plenty of room there, plenty of room there. I might make sure that peel that back up. Make sure that I have room there. And so then I'm going to go back over it one more time. A little bit more pressure. I want to make sure that it's stuck down really good. So we've got that on there nice and tight. We get everything out of our way here. So this is our sign blank here. So one of the biggest things is to make sure that your keyhole is upright. You wouldn't believe how many times I've messed this up and put the whole thing on upside down and had to start over again. So always check, double check, triple check that it's right side up. So it's right side up like that. And because I spray these, sometimes they get spray dust on them. So I actually will use a blue paper towel. I found that white paper towels leave behind little fuzzies. These blue ones work really well. So I'll just just dampen it just a little bit. And then you don't want it to be soaked. And then I'll just do a quick wipe across the sign and make sure any dust or anything that could prevent it from sticking well is gone. And part of the key part of this process is to make sure that your substrate is pretty smooth, because if it's really grainy and then the stencil won't stick very well. So when I spray these, I actually there's a coat of primer and then 2 coats of paint over this. But that's because I spray it. If you're brushing it, the paint will be a little bit thicker. You may be able to get a little bit less. You're going to have to just experiment with your process. And like I said, this is just how I do it. So anyway, so the next step is to get your stencil ready. And so you get your stencil, and grab a corner. I always like to flip it over. Uh-oh, got a little bit of moisture there. Let's get rid of that. So I always like to flip it over, make sure you have to make sure it's dry too before you move forward. So I like to flip it over, grab that corner, and then peel back carefully, because sometimes the middles will want to come up with it. So you have to go slow. Sometimes it won't. This one's actually doing really well. Sometimes it'll want to come up with it, and you'll have to kind of work on it. Make sure. This one went really well. Sometimes little bits will want to peel up, and you'll have to kind of work it. So just go slow with it, and then pick it up very carefully. I grab right by the registration marks, and then I always put it down like this, and then I slowly but surely kind of slide it up. I get the first registration mark to that corner, the next registration mark to this corner, and it's not rocket science. I mean, you just have to be getting it as close as you can. And then I look at these corners and make sure all the corners are about even. And like I said, you could spend a lot of time trying to make sure it's absolutely perfect. As long as it's not just way out of whack, I move forward. I mean, these are handmade wooden signs, so that looks pretty good. Again, just like before, always start in the middle and work your way out. And again, just like the other one, you start like, pretty soft with just a little bit of pressure. Maybe it's a little bit more weight than your actual arm, and then start again with a little bit more weight. And on this second pass, I push down pretty hard. Not enough to gouge the wood or mess up the wood underneath it. Just to make sure that everything, when you go to pull this transfer paper off, that the middles and stuff will stay down, because you might want to bring the stencil back up with it. So then I'll set this down, I'll get a hold of the corner of the transfer paper, and when you pull this off, sometimes it'll want to come back up with it. Looks like I'm having good luck on this one. But again, sometimes it'll want to come back up with it. So you have to go slow as you peel this back. But you peel this back. Right. This is trash. And I always just kind of wrap this behind itself like this. And that one's ready to get painted. And I'll do them in big batches. Oh, and I have a roller. Sometimes I'll go back over it if I can see air bubbles or anything behind it. I have this little roller. This is called a speed ball. I think you can get it from the same place. I don't always do this, but sometimes I'll just kind of re-roll it, make sure it's stuck down good. This one's ready for paint, and I use 2 coats of paint, and we'll cover that on the next video.